This project will be in my Patreon. It's Midnight Tyrannosaurus, mid-T date. Lots of cool bases, lots of movement into the SERUM waveform. Let's get straight into it. Assimilate.
Rip your guts out!
Yes, you know what it is. We're getting it down. Lots of SERUM patches. Everything's going to be in my Patreon. 1v1 lessons available. Let's get it. First off, the fake out. Fake out consists of this and this. Now we also have the response bass that plays with the drums, which is over here. There's multiple sections. One of the main sections is the high ling wide, which is just a long, high pitched. Okay, we have sub also. Big fatty. Remember, we'll get into all the details here soon. Low down. You know what it is with the low down. And then we get into growl wide. So you see low frequencies. Going fast. Growl wide is wide in the stereo image and higher frequencies. Main growl. This has both mids, some lows, highs, filling out the frequency spectrum. These are supporting it. All together. We're combining many layers of similar patches so that we can get the sound. We also have faster sections like this, where I change the LFO, main, low, high. You'll see a lot of frequency stacking here. Very common theme. We also reuse some of the same sounds, but we make it a little bit slower. A little bit of a bigger growl here. We play these and add a little bit of oomph right at the end. So So different rhythms that you'll see, and we kind of sprinkle in some of these other basses that we used before. We change the sub to make it longer during the sustain sections. And we incorporate this patch also and make a sustain out of it. A lot of these patches sounding real Midnight T, lots of movement, and I want to show you how we get these vowel-y movements and how we can stack these layers. Kick and clap, simple kick. This is actually tuned to the track, and then claps. You can start layering claps, getting something big, add some tops as well. Just combining multiple different to get like nice groove and rhythm. Hey. Hey. Add the sub. You know what it is. Big sub. Awesome. Those are the main foundations. Those are the foundational elements, the drums. Super important. But now, the fake out. This is when the drums are not playing. Cool. Lots of reverb, lots of space. There's a washout being used. This is to make it sound big, and then it gets drier and tighter as it progresses towards the drop. Compared to... So we have different effects here that we're going to get into. We need to look at these groups and how everything's grouped up. Main things we need to pay attention to. Kick, claps, tops. These are the drums. These are separate from the sidechain, which is by itself. It can be down here or it can be up here. wherever you want it. And then this is the main group, the basses, mid-T basses. We're using the sidechain in, and we're sending all the basses right here to the sidechain group. This is an audio track and in. Then all you have to do is automate the track volume, to sidechain it, and you're kind of just lining it up with the kick, you know, carving out a perfect space, perfect silence for that kick to come through. Real easy, you can do it visually this way, and then that makes sure that this kick cuts out all these sounds. Cool, so then let's go ahead and listen to with the sidechain on. Nice, this main group has a G clip on it, going up 3 decibels. Remember, this group also has our subs right here. So we're clipping the subs with the basses. Remember that. This group holds multiple things. 1 group and 2 subs. And then we're clipping it with a G clip, turning it up 3 dB. That's getting it crunched. Sounded nice. Then we add reverb. This is a parallel processed reverb. So we have reverb on this chain, which is 1 signal. We're cutting the lows 350. And then this chain's dry. No reverb. Now we have 2 signals playing, but this reverb signal's turned down -9 right here. Very important. This washout is on the basses group. And this is what we're using in the fake out. If you look at the fake out basses, you can see we added washout automation. So 15 starts at, ends at 4, and then at the drop, we hit 0. This is off. It's not completely dry, but it's not as spacey as this. That helps a lot in fake outs, washouts. Then, if you listen with it off, you can hear there's reverb on it too, and that's coming from this. We can turn this off. This is how the patch was originally, dry, and then we have full control of the reverb and the space afterwards. Reverb on, reverb off. Cool, big difference. So we're going to leave the reverb off for now while we create the sound. And just remember that we will be turning these on later, and this is a mids group. So the mids group is separate from these 2 subs. We can even recolor this so it's easier to see. Subs, separate. Then we have a group having all the main basses, and you can see there's a lot of basses here. I have about like 8 to 11 or something. All these patches will be in the Patreon. If you want the SERUM patches on the $3 tier, this whole project will be in the $10 or the $13 tier. First thing that I made was this one. And then I needed some support, so we have this one. Now the main way we're using this is with filter automation. That's how the main sound is coming out. So if we go to this growl, you'll see we were going to add reverb on this, but we didn't. And delete that. And the main processing is a multiband dynamics. These are turned up 6 with a little bit of compression. These ratios you can match, and it's on 43%. Then saturation is turning it up 7 dB, dry and wet's at 39, EQ8, we're cutting the lows at 100, and then we're clipping it to make sure it doesn't go past 0. So that's just a simple post-processing that we need when we're creating the patch here. We can use many different wavetables, but some of the best wavetables that we're using are the ones in digital. And we're using Evolution, Evol, Long Grease as well. Keep that in mind. We're using this wavetable as our main wavetable, then bringing in the formants add seconds right here in digital as well. We're bringing it in using FM from B. Remember, main thing on all these patches is this level is going to be down, and this level of oscillator A is controlled by the LFO. And then all we have to do is really change the wavetable, change the wavetable position, and the FM from B, these 3 things, and we can get lots of different sounds. Also, the main tonality is going to be coming from this filter. we use high pass 12 cut off. We're going to go ahead and make one of these from scratch so you can see exactly how to do it. Cool. Some effects. Hyper, making it wide. Phaser, compressor, making it loud. Phaser, giving it a little bit of phasey tone. And EQ8, just pushing one of these frequencies up. Remember, all the patches are going to be variations of what I'm going to show you right here. You get SERUM. You want to go ahead and get Evolution or Evo Long Grease. Wavetable position. Turn on FM from B. Remember, pulling in this signal that's in digital. It's called the FFT, add seconds. Turn the level down. We want to put this LFO on the wavetable position because when it moves, it'll move it up. See that? Or else it'll just stay on a sine wave. If we move it up, start to get a different sound. Now we have to put the LFO on this first. Remember, LFO 1 goes on the level, oscillator A, turn it all the way up. Now FM from B, we're going to turn up so that we can pull in this signal. Then you can turn on this and you can adjust however much you want to add into it. Main sound is going to be coming from this filter here. You can also add a little bit of movement on this wavetable position at oscillator A, have it move a little. Turn the filter off for now. I mean, kind of, you're like guiding the frequency. You're seeing, do you want low frequencies, highs? It's a little bit higher compared to the low. So we're going to keep it a little bit high for now. Remember, you can do this in many different ways. That's the goal, making all kinds of different sounds, but in one similar technique. Then multi high pass 12. This will allow us to use the cutoff and the frequency to actually move. We want to turn the resonance up because this is going to give us a lot of the tone as well. And then we want to automate the cutoff and the frequency. So the cutoff goes to the left, frequency goes to the right, and then we put the LFO knobs on the LFO on these knobs to then go the other direction. So cutoff will go to the right, and they kind of start to touch each other. LFO 1 goes on frequency, this one will go to the left. And this is where the tonality and the movement, the vowel-y, starts to come. This cutoff knob is important because if you move it more to the left, you allow more lows to come in. More to the right, the lows are getting cut. So you want to be a fine balance. You don't want to let in too much sub. But it's really up to you. You just got to be careful with how you're guiding these frequencies. Now we're moving it so that all by sound, all by feeling. And once we find a place that we like, we can move forward. We can also try evolution. And you can try different wavetables. Now, if you bring down oscillator A, the octaves. By the way, we're playing octave 0 right now. We're playing the D note in octave 0. Main thing here is to get it low pitch. Try to get one that's not too high. See, I'm moving wavetable position, lots of different sounds. It'll be up to you to figure out where you want to place it. I kind of like these frequencies. That was a little bit wet. And then I'm going to use this cutoff and the frequency and the automation as well. Or the LFO modulation, I mean. Start having it move more. Maybe turn this down. See, the more I turn the resonance up, the more it sounds like it's talking. I want to find a good balance. Now it's like saying different vowels almost. Add a little bit of dimension, very low size, to get a little wide. Compression, multiband. We also want to add the phaser. We can turn the phase down, mix down, depth a little down. Mess with that frequency knob too. We're going to compare it to this one. And you'll hear it's not repeating. So what we're going to do is fix the LFO. Turn it from trigger to envelope, which is a one shot. It just does one. And then we can adjust the LFO and kind of make it like go fast, be a little bit loud at the beginning, and then kind of tone it down. And we can start to get a lot of different shapes like this. It'll take some time for you to get used to making these sounds and making these shapes. If you want a starting point though, I can give you one of the response sounds. So like we'll get into this one. Now this is going to be Evo Longrease at seconds, same wavetables but different LFO. Cutoffs going to be different. The voices may be different as well. So like on the wide one, we're going to make these wide instead of mono. Mono, but then we make these wide. This is how we're adding the wide layer to the fast layer. Then low down, very similar, except we're moving the cutoff. We're allowing more lows. We're moving the FM from B, turning it down to allow more low frequencies. We're slightly modifying each patch to get little variations of it. Then this growl, you'll see this is going slower, not fast. It's going half rate. And we have this shape where it's not going all the way full. It's not going all the way loud. So that's what we're going to be doing with our test version. So instead of going all the way full, go a little like this. We can change it to a half. Now you hear that tail. Our compressor's turning it up and it's coming from one of these. You can start looking around. If you don't like something about the sound, you can definitely fix it up. I like the feeling of this. I'm going to put this cutoff up higher. So many different sounds, so many different combinations. Where do you want to take and guide these frequencies? That's the real question. Try different rates. Try different wavetables. These evils are real nice. Back to half. Lots of different sounds when you move the FM. How much of this oscillator B do you want to allow into oscillator A? Cool. So this is going to be the general location. You can add an EQ8 if you want, boost a frequency, turn up the gain. You can find a frequency that you like and automate it so that it's turning up. We'd actually automate the gain, not the frequency. So it starts low, turn it up high. Something like that. Then you can move it, find the frequency you like. Kind of single out, which is really helpful. Let's look back at this growl and see what else we did here. Looks like the only thing we did was add the voicings to this oscillator B. And we also have to remember to turn down our phases, turn down our randoms. We got to make sure that we're not going too crazy with the movements of the phases. So when these are turned down, it'll ensure every time you hit the button or your note, it'll always be the same. We can add a little bit of width like this. You can always mess with your LFO shapes and make something new. Sounded real dinosaur-y. And remember, this cutoff is going to do a lot. So the LFO amounts on 22. We're going to be real careful now when we're moving. Like 25. We can look at this. This is on 26. Lots of different sounds depending on where you put this. I like that. I'm trying to make it talk, basically. I want it to talk. I really do. And once it's talking, then once we move this LFO, we can really get something nice out of it. Maybe turn this up. I like this shape, so I'm going to save it real quick. I'm going to call this the trucker. So now when we move it, we can be good. Pretty fire. Now you see how it's like building. Jesus Christ. You can technically hold that out like that. But it ends like this. Try out another one of those shapes. Real quick bark. Now this is cool and all, able to make the sound, but we need to be able to make it into a song, put them together. That's where the magic comes. So we're going to deactivate this for now. Now we're going to study how we made each section. So main section. If we look at this, main sound, high pitch, this is going every half note. So every bar is going half, 2 of them per bar, basically. If we look at it, multiband dynamics, saturation, EQ8, EQing a lot of these frequencies out. That's important. Before, that wouldn't blend. So you got to remove and carve those frequencies. Is going to be playing with a lot of those lows that we were just playing. If you look at the high, we have evolution on -4. Oscillator B, add seconds, 4, it's wide. Look at our shape. Half, and we're letting it ring out. Filter, cutoff's at 171, it's going up 21. Frequency, it's at 67, going down -24. To get that perfect touching motion. LFO1 is on the wavetable position. We're moving it a lot here. It's at 38. We're going up 61. FM from B is up pretty high at 60. Dimension is on. Size all the way down. Mix is at 22. Phaser is at 38% with around these settings. Compressor is turned up 13 dB on multiband. Once again, this note is note 0. We're always playing 0 and just making different pitches within it, basically. Different tones, I should say. We put this at 0. It's way different. -4. We're getting some new awesome stuff. But that's the goal here. LFO is on this wavetable position as well, going up 75. That's how we're getting a high screechy boy. Now let's look at the main growl. These are more lower frequencies, so I chose oscillator A to be evol long grease instead of evolution. We're using the same filter, same oscillator B, all the same techniques. We're just maybe changing the wavetable position, for example. So this is at 28, going up 28. This wavetable position, small LFO amount, -7. Wavetable position 96. Filter, the cutoff is going to be higher at 163. We're cutting the lows. Then we're turning up the LFO amount to 19. Frequency's at 73%, going down -14 to get that touch. Remember, we're on half, and we're making like 3 little hits out of it within here. Remember, while making this, I'm like, okay, this is going to be my main thing. It's gonna has to have all the frequencies. That's how I guided these frequencies. Making it talk plus guiding the frequencies in the direction I want. Dimensions on a little bit, 22. Phasers on, 38%. Compressors on, 13 dB. Same exact stuff. And then we're just pumping one of these frequencies. We're at 780. Turning it up with this gain. The wide, I showed you earlier, is the same patch that we just made right there, but we're making it wide. And then we're using this EQ to cut all the lows. It's cutting at 675. Off. On. So dramatically different sound that way. And then the low down. This one's really meant to be low, grungy mid. So FM from B's turned down a lot, 27%. We picked a new wavetable position at 174, going down -7. Cutoff is at 99 hertz now, allowing more of these lows to come through. And remember, we're not using the EQ here, cutting the lows. It's just boosting 782. Oscillator B, it's going up 75, same thing. Very simple. All those together, they're turned down a little bit. So main growl is at -1. We blend in the wide signal, so it's -12. Low down's -6. Turn down, but not as down. these are grouped together. We need a little bit of processing on our group to glue them, push them higher. We have multiband dynamics at 30. These inputs, this compression, saturations at 9 dB with this dry and wet. Of course, clipper is just clipping it at 0. 2 times oversampling's on though. It's nice. One thing I do want to show you before we get off here is the sustain. The sustain is made from the same patch, and then the bass that's playing with the sustain is a little different than the previous phrase. It's going a little bit different rhythm. So same techniques that I just showed you in the frequency stacking and layering, but we changed the LFO. So instead of 3, now we have 2, basically. Keep in mind too, these LFOs are very delayed. We're not starting it right perfectly on the start point. They're like fading in. The attack is real long there. Cool. So once again, this layer, main, low layer, high layer, all mixed down accordingly. This all goes by feeling, all goes by ear, whatever you want. Just make sure when you're measuring it in the loudness, your phrases are very similar. You want everything to be balanced. Cool. Last thing, sustain. Negative 12 dB. It's pretty low in the mix. Not too loud because these main boys are doing the work. And we add the sustain with it. Keep in mind, this sustain, we're EQing significantly. We're removing a lot of these frequencies, carving it out so that it can flow and blend with all the other sounds. We open up Serum, you see it's the same patch. Evo long grease, wavetable position at 106 Do. FM from B at 57. Actually, the LFO amount on this wavetable went down to 28. Cutoffs at 109, going up 19. Frequencies at 70, going down 14. LFO 1 though, ramping up and then going all the way to the tippy top right at the end. But we have it ramp up there. It's on 1/2 rate. It's on envelope, so it just keeps sustaining at the end. Technically, you can move this FM from B and get lots of different sustains. So many different combinations, and it would just take you some time to get the perfect blend of frequencies and layers. Some evil riddims like Midnight T. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep it real, keep it fresh. I'll see you later. Peace out. Oops.
I don't give a fuck.